So I would like to get a short documentary about the history of Campsie, and I know that I have enough information between me and my sister, my brother. We have enough information to present for the Campsie part. I'm still working on the Wildwood part.
So Debbie, tell me something. We spent the whole day going through different settlements. What would you like people to know about all these places we went to today? Like, what would be your message?
I guess that we've been here for more than 100 years, and the history needs to be, well, people just need to be educated and know.
Right.
That would be my message. And as I was saying on this a few minutes ago, Campsie has never been really, it's because it was smaller. There's some people that didn't even know, and I've volunteered with people and people that pretend to know a whole bunch about Black history, and then they'll say, oh, Campsie, where is that? I don't even know where that is. Granted, it's small. It was a small community, but it still existed.
And what would you want, outside of Black Canadians, what would you want Canadians to know?
Canadians?
Yeah. Well, we're Canadians, but Canadians outside of our own community.
Okay, I was going to say outside of this community.
Mm-hmm.
Just that, I mean, people know if you say you're from Canada. I was raised in Canada. They automatically say the Underground Railroad. No, that was different. And then they know about Nova Scotia. They just don't know about the Blacks that settled in the West.
The pioneers.
Yeah.
And how do you think Black, non-Black, young Albertans can get involved?
Involved?
Yeah. How do we pass down and maintain the knowledge?
I don't know. Other than because everything is on the internet and digitized, that's the only way to get the word out. But how do you get people interested in looking at it?
Well, you're interested.
Yeah, but it's part of my history. What's a friend that was there last night, the girl?
Ashley.
How do you get her interested? Or people her age? I mean, she's Black Canadian, but she knew nothing about the West, the history of the people in the West, or even, so.
And that was her question to you. She was saying, how come, what are the reasons you think why they don't know?
I guess they have no reason to know. I mean, most of them, I think it's come to now, there's so many people of color in the city. And the problem, I think, is that they look at us, and what they see with even us is our skin colors all the same. And really, when you look at it, we've got a Jamaican, somebody of Jamaican heritage, Nova Scotia, Quebec, and Ghana. I mean, but so we are different in many ways, but people don't see that. They just see, oh, I saw 4 Black people on that Benton school. Yeah. But knowing, okay, our histories and backgrounds are very different.
So we're diverse.
Yes.
As Black people in Canada.
Yes.
Yeah. I have one last question for you. What are you thankful for that your ancestors, the pioneers, taught you or gave you in Alberta?
I think thankful that they gave us good work ethics, that you work for what you get. They didn't complain a lot. They still knew how to kind of enjoy themselves, and in some ways they didn't need to be entertained. I mean, there was a lot of community, which is not so much now.
Maybe one final question. You, as becoming an elder, a griot of Canada, what message would you like to pass on to the people who are standing with you today and the future generations behind us?
What message was I want to pass on? What there is a saying, you can't don't know where you're going until you know where you came from. Is that kind of what it is?
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's true, but I think it's important. And for us as Black Canadians, especially, I mean, the what they came to, and they achieved a lot.
Yeah.
Considering they had to work with their hands and broke it's back-breaking work and stuff, and they made it in spite of the setbacks, the racism, the weather, the all the things that could have held them back. They made it. And in all the interviews that I did, I don't think there was anybody that really complained. Oh, they talked about the weather and talked about, but most of them, some of the things that happened to them in their past, a lot of them, they were able to just laugh some of it off. It was just part of their life.
In the tradition of storytelling, what would be one of your fondest memories or stories that kind of represents living in Canada as a Black person from in your generation?
Story?
A story or a memory?
Well, I don't know. I guess lots of memories. One thing I do have to talk about is there's a fence over there somewhere in that bush. On the other side of that fence is where my great grandfather, that was his other quarter section or his other homestead. And it's where my dad was born, right over there on the hill. So as a child, we spent a lot of time traveling between where we just came from to here because this is where my grandparents lived. So we spent a lot of time here. And my grandfather sold us in about after my grandmother died. She died in, I don't know, 72 or 73. And he stayed for a couple more years and then he sold it. And he sold it to a man, a Mr. Bruce. And as it turns out, this cemetery land was a family named Savage. So when Mr. Bruce bought the quarter over there, he was married to, her name was Olive, and she was a Savage. Because we never could figure out what, he bought the land, but somehow, like, she knew about this. It was her mother's or her grandmother's. So, because in a lot of the cases, the land, as I said, it was the farmer, whoever owned the land, they gave a little piece of it for the cemetery. Now, my understanding is it was the Savages that gave somehow this piece of land. So Mr. Bruce lived over there for many years. And there was a house, and I have a picture of the house. And after his son-in-law took over the property, his son-in-law has turned it into a glamping site. The house was there until about 3 years ago. And then it got structurally not good, so they tore it down. But there are some of the original buildings are still on the property. So,
I said it's very cool.
yeah. So one of my dreams, and I'm going to get on it now, is we know the guy that bought it's the son-in-law. He's one of our neighbors from over there, and we've talked, and I'm going to hopefully I can get this done in the next year or year and a half. He wants us to do a sign talking about the history of the Beaver family, because he wants us to be still recognized that they were the homesteaders that lived there.
I love that. Well, thank you, Beaver. Thank you. Griot Beaver.
Yeah.